All right, this is part 2 of our introduction to algebra for Wednesday. I want to talk about surface area. Remember, surface area is when we're wrapping an object like Christmas paper, all right? So let's think about this for a second. I brought an object for a couple of you, okay? On surface area, we have a top and a bottom that are the same, right? Okay, what is the shape of the top of this box? It's a rectangle. So I'm going to say, to find my surface area, I'm going to say 2 times the area of the top, right? Because the top and the bottom are going to be the same. Then I also have to wrap the front and the back. The front and the back will be the same. So I'm going to say 2 times the area of the front, okay? So when I do the front, when I find this area, I'm also finding the area of the back, the front and the back. Then I gotta do the end. Okay, when I do this end, it matches this end, right? So these two ends match. So I can say 2 times the area of the end. Now, when I do that and I add all of those together, I have found the surface area of my rectangular solid, okay? This is a rectangular solid. Let's talk about these measurements. The top, what shape is that? Well, it's a rectangle. So I'm literally going to say the surface area equals 2 times length times width. Okay, what about the front? It's also a rectangle. So I'm going to say 2 times length times width. Remember, when I do this front, I'm also doing the back. That's why there's a 2. What about the end? This end is a rectangle. So it's 2 times length times width. Okay? All we're doing is finding the area of each side and adding them together. Now, let's look at this particular box. I threw some numbers on here and I said on the top, I said it is a 10 is the length and 4 is the width. So I'm going to say 2 times 10 times 4. That is going to be the area of the top and the bottom. 10 times 4 gives me the area of the top, which is, by the way, what? 40. But I have a 2 there because I've got 1 on the top and 1 on the bottom, okay? So then I'm going to go to the next one, and I'm going to say, oh, this is the front. What are the measurements of my front? Well, I know this is a, what? 10, okay? Because that's what it is on the other side. And the width, in this case, is going to be a 2. All right, so we put a 2 there. Put parentheses. Now we've got to do the ends. This end, okay, when this is 10 and this was 4, right? The width at the top was 4. That's going to be the what? The length of the end. So I'm going to put 2 times 4. And you just told me a second ago, or I told you, that the height of this box on the front was 2. So that means it's going to be the height of the box on the side, right? So that is 2. Now, all I need to do is go back and solve this. Well, 4 times 10 is 40. 40 times 2 is 80. Okay? Plus, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 10 is 40. 2 times 2 is 4. And 4 times 4 is 16. So my surface area, all I'm going to do is add 80 plus 40 is 120. 120 plus 16 is 136. We're going to say that this was in centimeters because it's area that I know my label has to be square centimeters. That's how you do the surface area of a rectangular prism. Now wait a minute. What if this was a triangle? What would be the difference? These ends would be shaped like triangles, right? And the top would be a point. So our formula was a little different. That's what we went over yesterday. Let's look at a few more problems in review. I hope you're writing these down. It'll help you on your homework if you are. 40% of what number is 92? Now, for weeks and weeks, we would say the fraction times the of equals the is. But we learned yesterday that our decimal equivalent in these are called our rate, okay? So we're going to say the rate times the of equals the is. Is there any difference in how we solve this problem? Not at all. It's just an understanding of what we're doing. Well, 40% is what is my decimal equivalent of 40%? Okay, remember if you have any percent, in order to go from a percent to a decimal, you're going to drop the percent sign and move the decimal 2 places, 1, 2. So it becomes 0.40. Okay, so my rate is 0.4. I don't need the 0 on the end, times the of. In this case, the of is what number? So times n equals the is 92. So I have 0.4 times n equals 92. Oh, this is an equation. So all I need to do is the opposite of what it says in order to get my n by itself. And whatever I do on the left, I must do on the right. So I'm going to divide by 0.4. This cancels, giving me n. Now I take 4.4, and I'm going to put this down here, 0.4 into 92. But what do you have to remember when you're dividing by a decimal? You must remember to move the decimal. You cannot divide by a decimal. You have to divide by a whole number. So move this decimal over to one place. But if you move it in the divisor, you must, again, move it in the dividend as well. So it has to go here. Now, 4 goes into 9, 2 times, that's 8, giving us 1 left over. Bring down our 2. 4 goes into 12 3 times, that is 12, is giving us a 0. Bring down our 0. 4 goes into 0, 0 times. So, n equals 230. Let's look at the problem right below. We're still using a rate, but it's a little different. But let's write it down. The rate times the of equals the is. Now let's see what we know. What percent? I don't know the rate. Times the of the 200 equals 2. All I did was bring down the word rate because I don't know it. I filled in the of is the 200 because it's right there in my problem. Is the equals and then the 2. Now it says r times 200. I'm going to do exactly like I did here. I'm going to get rid of the 200. But if I divide by 200 on the left, I must divide by 200 on the right. Okay, this is going to cancel, leaving us r equals. Now this 2 is going to cancel to a 1. This 2 is going to cancel to a 1 as well, giving us 1 over 100. But my question is rate. My rate has to be a percent. So if I have 1/100, that's what it reduced to, I need to write that as a decimal. That means I need to write it as 0.01. That is 1/100th. If you leave it as this, the answer is still wrong because you're looking for a rate. That needs to be a percent. Okay, so what percent? In order to change a decimal to a percent, move the decimal 2 places to the right. 1, 2, giving me a 1, and then add your percent sign. My answer is 1%. Let's look at this last problem I have on the board for us today. It is 7x minus 9 equals 26. If that's true, then what's the value of 3/5 x plus 19? Well, I can't solve that second equation, but I can the first. So 7x minus 9 equals 26. So what am I going to do? Add the 9. We're going to do the opposite. I need to get rid of that constant. Okay? This is going to cancel, leaving me 7x equals. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add and get 35. Now I have 7x equals 35. Pretty simple. What am I going to do? Divide by 7. Okay? When I divide both sides by 7, that gives me x equals 5. That is not my final answer. That is one step of my answer. Because my question is, what's the value of 3/5 x plus 19? Okay, so now what do? I have to write my equation down, which I did, substitute my x for its value. So 3/5 over 5 times 5 over 1 plus 19. Well, this is going to cancel, giving me 1. So 3 times 1 is 3 plus 19. 19 plus 3 is 22. And 22 is my final answer. Be very careful in your homework today. Make sure you know what you're doing. Think through each problem. Make sure you keep your papers and you turn all of those in on Thursday to Brother John and Brother David when they come by your house. Some of you that live in the area, you have yet to bring papers to me. I must get your papers in order to give you full credit for the work. All right, have a great day.